Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video for the day. We're going back into r/niceguys stories because everybody likes those good old cringy story time videos. If you guys would like to be absolutely amazing and show your support, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment down below, stuff you would like to see from the channel, and if you have not already, subscribe to the channel. Let's go! Our first story comes from us from username Queen Poisons. I'll turn back female for you, smooch. Okay, so this is a recent tale that I had a few weeks ago. I was just sent to a mental hospital from school and met this trans FTM boy who we'll call Fred. Fred is a chubby Mexican boy who is an inch or two shorter than me with limited English and a thick accent. Let me just say, I'm not against transgender people, I'm pan, so honestly, if you have a pulse, I'll be interested. Now, on to the story. After a few days into my stay at the hospital, I'd gotten to know a good amount about everyone, including Fred. I talked to them a little bit, not a lot, but we played card games and were friendly with each other. Soon, some of the people I hung out with left, and I started talking more and more with him. One day, at visiting hours, a large group of the patients decided to play Truth or Dare. I was bored as my parents weren't there, and I wanted to ease up before my family meeting the following day. I sat next to Fred and another of my friends as we got started. Something to mention at this point is that my roommate who had left before this and her friend had told me that they had a suspicion that Fred would have a crush on me. I didn't think much about it as it was a mental hospital and nothing was serious here anyway. As usual, when a group of teens got together and played games, it got sexual. I joked around with Fred acting dominant with simple looks and putting my hands on his knee as I was dared to make him blush. Nothing other than that. Soon, he got dared to make me blush. He got flustered and dragged me to another table. He tried his best, saying that he'd kiss me or whatever, but I didn't budge, so he got upset and went off. We got back to the game, and that was it for that night. After that, I realized that he kept trying to flirt with me, saying how she's mine, so back off, or she's my mommy, even saying, I love you, baby. My other friends joked around when we said it to each other here, but the way he said it was somewhat aggressive. Another thing to know is I had been there for 5 days, maybe, and he already liked me. Fred also made bad jabs at me. Since I'm a black girl, he'd tell me to run from the cops that worked there, say I'd end up in jail, or even call me the N-word. This turned me off immensely. I'm not even against edgy jokes about race if they're good, but they were just blatantly unfunny and hurtful. A day before he was supposed to be discharged, me, Fred, and 2 others decided to hang out and talk before bed. This soon turned sexual again, which I didn't really participate in. I mostly did the hospital sheets and made some comments. This girl we were hanging out with was telling me how hard she wanted me to dominate her though. I was gonna tell her I wasn't interested, but I was interrupted. Guess who didn't like their mommy getting flirted with? Fred. So he started telling her off before holding my arm and telling me exactly what he wanted me to do to him, which was very, very explicit. I sat there completely stunned. I didn't respond and just slipped away after a while. After he finally got discharged, I thought I wouldn't have to deal with his weird and possessive behavior anymore. I got out a week and a half later. I stayed at home for another week before going to a partial program, which was a place you go to review what you've learned at the place. Guess who met me there? Freaking Fred. Fred at this point was acting like a total creep, making even more messed up jokes, now saying he wanted to off black people, but I was an exception. Fred would poke my bare stomach when I would stretch in some shirts. He would pull up my shirt just enough to poke my belly button, and he made even more jokes. I'm kind of a chubby girl, so I have big thighs and a good chest, even telling the compliments of my good thighs and chest to the adult social workers. I was beyond embarrassed, but I was scared if I stopped talking to him, he would hurt himself. He had told me I'm the only person that cares, and if I wasn't there, he'd off himself. So I just hung around until my 3-week stay was up. One day after the program, we were waiting together in the lobby when he asked if he could touch my chest. Let me also say he asked this in front of multiple people and adults. I tried to find a joking way out of this by saying in front of people, lol, but he wouldn't stop asking. So I finally responded, "You can do whatever, man," in an uncomfortable way. Most people can tell when I'm uncomfortable by my voice, and I was very weirded out, so he could tell. But instead of stopping, he grabbed my chest and held it before letting it go. I was mortified. I left in such a hurry and hoped he wouldn't talk to me tomorrow. It was around this time we got a new girl, who we'll call Kayla. Kayla was a thespian, and we got along really well together. We both ended up liking each other, and people could tell by the way we acted. But Fred had also been developing a crush on her, even though he was a guy. He'd constantly tell her that he wouldn't mind if they dated, and me seeing her uncomfortable, I'd remind Fred that Kayla was a thespian, to which he'd reply, "I'll turn back into a girl for you." Every time I reminded him, that's all he'd say. Soon he drifted off and I left the program with Kayla. That's all. I hope you enjoyed the tale. Our next story comes to us from username Virini's Pie. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Virgin Nice Guy, destroyed by Chad Bernie Sanders. This all started at the beginning of the school year. It was about 2 weeks into the year when this guy, let's call him E, starts to approach me. I started one day when I was walking to my choir class and E starts booking it over to me. I'm incredibly naive when it comes to telling if someone is attracted to me, so the fact that I could tell immediately that he wanted to get in my pants probably says something. This guy says that he's new to the school and is trying to make friends. I introduce myself and the conversation is fairly normal from that point. The very next day, this guy approaches me again on my way to choir. This time, he asks if I had ever had a boyfriend. At this point, my suspicions of this guy trying to get with me are confirmed. I tell him that I have a boyfriend, which is true. He immediately looks pissed off and wants to know every small detail about him. I try my best to dodge his questions and manage to get to class before things get really out of hand. A few days pass and my school has its activity fair. Basically, all the clubs have a table set up in the gym where you can learn more about the school's extracurricular programs and join any you are interested in. Everything is going fine. I run into a few friends and join a couple of clubs. Just to give y'all some context, my boyfriend and I both have Asperger's, a mild form of autism. I go to the mainstream public school while my boyfriend goes to a private school specifically for kids on the spectrum. So back to the activity fair. I'm wandering around looking at clubs when E walks over to me. The conversation is normal at first. We talked about what clubs looked interesting to us, and I mentioned I signed up for my school's Korean club. He immediately goes to sign up as well, and I conveniently have not gone to a meeting since. E asks me if my boyfriend goes to our school, and I explain that he goes to a school for kids on the spectrum. E promptly starts telling me all the reasons my boyfriend isn't good enough for me and that I should dump him, and goes out with this moron instead. I'm pretty pissed off at this point, so I change the subject back to clubs. E suggests I join my school's Young Republican Club so we can build the wall. This gives me an idea. I'm not a very political person, but when it comes to politics, I tend to lean center-left. I happen to have a few pins I got for Pride a few months back. I figured that if I put some leftist/Pride pins on my backpack, it would scare E off. It seemed like a dumb idea at the time, but I figured there's no harm in trying. The next week, I showed up at school with my backpack covered in Bernie Sanders pins, and lo and behold, it worked. E never spoke to me since. Unfortunately, one by one, my pins started to disappear, including a Disneyland and Dunder Mifflin pin I put on because why not? I assumed they all got stolen because of the order they started to disappear in, and that the pins were all metal, so it would have made a pretty loud noise if one had fallen off. I haven't heard from E since. I assumed he figured I was a lost cause and moved on. It's kind of messed up, but looking back, it's kind of hilarious in a weird way. Long story short, guy stalks me for a week, finds out I like Bernie Sanders, and leaves me alone. Unorthodox but effective. It works, it works. Our next story comes to us from username Cries an Alien. A 20-year-old nice guy dates an underage girl. First of all, I don't know if this is the right place to post this, and I'm sorry if it isn't. Second of all, sorry for any grammar mistakes. I'm kind of of freaked out writing this, and grammar has never been my strong suit, but I needed a place to vent. So this all started on an old app that's no longer around, thank God, called Meow Chat. It was not a dating site. It was specifically for teens, so most of the people on the app were 15 to 17, with a few exceptions of older or younger people. I was 14 when I joined because I had low self-esteem and wanted some friends. On Meow Chat, I met a lot of nice people, mostly guys, and they all would compliment me, but would understand the friend aspect and would keep it at that. None would really try and cross that line. I met Dawson, the nice guy, a couple of months into me being on Meow Chat. He was really kind at first, and he told me he was 19 and that his birthday was in a couple of days, and I, being really dumb, thought it wasn't a big deal because he was only 5 years older than me. We continued to chat and it stayed friendly. With the random occasional compliment, I would say thank you, and of course I liked being complimented by an older guy. I felt special. He knew that my dad was an absentee father and that I was looking for an approval by an older man. He would always call me his bunny and eventually asked if we could text instead of using the app. I said yes, I liked talking to him. We had a lot in common. He showed me that my name in his phone was Brianna with a bunny sign and said that I should set him as Dawson with a wolf. I did. I liked being called Bunny. After 2 months of us talking, he asked if I would be his girlfriend. I said that I hadn't even met him yet and was unsure. He told me that he was joining the Marines and that he would meet as soon as he gets stationed and that he would take me on a cruise, just me and him. I was so excited and couldn't wait. I said that I would be his girlfriend. He sent me a shirtless picture of him and asked if I thought he would look good in uniform. He was really ripped, so it was kind of intimidating. He asked if I could send him a picture in the mirror. I thought nothing of sending him a simple, fully clothed picture, so I did. He told me that he was glad that I was his girlfriend. He said that he was so nice and that a lot of girls wouldn't date him because they liked jerks and players. I told him that they were crazy and that he was so sweet. He ate that up. A while after us dating, he said he went to a party and that he got drunk and that he slept with a girl. He called me on the phone crying. I, being stupid, started crying too. I was heartbroken. He begged for forgiveness and I forgave him. He said that it would never happen again, and he said this about the girl. She is a wholesome who sleeps with anyone, and since you are virgin, I know you are pure and worthy of being loved by a good man. That's not where the incident with the girl ends though. He asked me to send him a nude picture. I told him that I couldn't do that, so he sent me a picture of a really gorgeous girl and told me that that was the girl he slept with at the party, and if I wouldn't send him a nude, he'd ask her. He said she'd definitely send him one. I told him that I just couldn't send him a nude, but that I'd send him a sexy picture. He said okay, and I sent him an almost nude picture. He said something along the lines of, I can't wait until we go on that cruise together, and that he wouldn't bring her up ever again. Anytime he would ask for a nude though, he'd bring up the girl and get me to send him the picture through threatening to ask her for one or break up with me or for her. I developed a crush on a guy who went to my school, and I told Dawson. He flipped out and called me all kinds of names and told me that I was going to turn into a wholesome and that I was like everyone else, that I didn't want a good man who would take care of me but a player. He told me that he would never talk to me again, and he didn't for a long time. On my 16th birthday, he texted me out of the blue saying happy birthday. I said thank you. He told me that he was in the Marines now and asked if I wanted to be his girlfriend again. I, of course, being dumb, said yes. He said there was a condition. I had to send him a nude picture every day. I blocked him. 2 years later, I find his number in my phone and text him. I don't know why I did it. I wish I could apologize to 14-year-old me for putting up with him. And with that is going to have to be it with the video. If you would like to show your support and see more videos like these, help push the video in the algorithm by hitting the like button and commenting down below. Let's try to go for at least 1,000 likes on the video. I know it's very much possible, and I would very much appreciate it from you guys. And also, if you have not already, subscribe for more updates and future content. I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.